Greetings, YouTube. This is the Garage Autonomist. And I know that I'm doing another unexpected hangout, but that's okay. This is going to be a short one. The title and the topic for tonight's chat is, as you can see, is pretty self-explanatory. What I want to talk about is us giving these cute nicknames for the street racism that we're seeing. Um, I think that we're going to get so used to thinking that this shit is kind of funny. I mean, we don't think it's funny yet. Let me put it that way. What I'm concerned with right now is we don't think it's funny yet. But we keep, I don't like the names. I don't like the nicknames. What do I mean by that? There's fourth floor Florida. I forgot what they're calling this new woman. You got Corner Store Caroline, which was Teresa Klein. You've got uh Barbecue Becky. I was okay with Barbecue Becky at first, right? I mean, I was running around calling her that, no problem. Now there's another latest incident is a woman they're calling Golf Cart Gail. This shit is getting out of control. I think that considering the history between the police and African Americans, and really people of color, but black people in particular, man, this considering the history, it's going to get to the point where someone's going to call the police on someone. The way that we're, with these kinds of incidences that we're seeing, and someone's going to get killed. I mean, Tamar Rice was 13 years old. He was, what, 4 years older than the young boy that was that Teresa Klein had called on. And granted, Tamar Rice had a toy gun that the cop used as a great excuse, but it's not an excuse. Sorry, you're a police officer. You're trained. Well, in addition to guarding banks, you're trained, should know how to see a damn toy gun when you see one. And you shot a 13-year-old kid. And someone like that, who's to say that anyone like that, or any of the people that we've seen, Officer Darren, any of these kinds of people, if they wind up on the scene, someone could very well get killed. It's not a joke. So I'm just saying, I just want to throw out this little, this, it's really been getting, it's really been getting at me. This, I'm annoyed with this of calling these people these cute names, man. It ain't fucking funny. Now, the two new incidences that have happened again, where a black person is criminalized for doing something normal, like living in the living space that we call fucking life. A young brother by the name of De'Arion Tolles was prevented from entering his own apartment building by his neighbor, Hillary Brooke Thornton, who is now, being called fourth floor Florida. Can't remember what they're calling her now. I don't care. Now, neither of these two people have laid eyes on each other, but De'Arion was trying to enter the building as Hillary was exiting the building to walk her dog. I guess the door hadn't closed all the way or it was cracked a little bit. And, this incident, by the way, it happened in St. Louis, but the passing of people coming in and out of a residential building is very common here in New York City, where the incoming person might hold the door open uh, to get in as the exiting person is leaving, because they may not want to be bothered with having to take out their lobby door key or what have you. And the thing is, all bets of protocol are off when the exiting person feels like they need to start policing the situation in the authoritarian manner that I believe Hillary had approached the situation. See, Hillary, like all these other people, she lacked the social consciousness to know that black people are often questioned or under suspicion everywhere they go. If she were genuinely concerned with her safety or the safety of her neighbors and tenants and wanted to express concern even for Diarian's safety as a new neighbor, she could have allowed him in and started some kind of level of friendly chit chat, to get a sense of who he was and that kind of thing. Hold on here. Oh, hey, Ace Atkins, what's up? Thank you for coming. Sorry, I just wanted to check the chat real quick. Let me just move this little window over so I'll see who comes in as I'm ruminating here. Anyway, but like I was saying, so if she really wanted to do that, she would start some friendly chit chat to get a sense of who he was, who Diarion was, uh, and not where was he going, what was he doing there. Now, if he were up to no good, right, but still had access to the building, he would have wanted to avoid her altogether, as she would be a potential witness, right? You know, but her dumbass had to try to act like the belle of the fucking plantation and get overly familiar by physically blocking, stalking, and harassing Diarion. Now, as the video footage shows, she followed him all the way to his apartment, where at that time he had produced a key that could be clearly seen getting into his own built and getting into his own apartment. Now, the video that Diarion took throughout this whole situation, it went viral. Brooks Company, which was called, I believe, Tribeca ST1 or something, she was fired from her job because of this. Now, I know there's a lot of politics around that. Some people might feel like their company went too overboard. When you consider, because she's in real estate, right? That was her company's a real estate company. Now, I'm not trying to say all real estate companies function this way. When you consider Diarion, and I really don't want to talk about Diarion's background or his class, because I don't want to make this seem that this is only an outrage because Diarion happens to be sort of like an upwardly mobile, independent business guy, and that this something like this just should not have happened to him at all. No, I'm saying I don't give a shit what you do, whether you put the red vinyl on the bologna or whether you are whatever it is that Diarion does. I didn't look it up. I didn't care. Um, whether you're any of those things, that whole situation was unjustified. And whether he could have been wearing a hoodie and some jeans or what have you, and that's the thing. Like, but I do believe that her company fired her strictly for PR. It's like, they probably deal with someone like Diarion, getting them into a home and things like that. They did not want this shit to look bad. And we do find out a little bit more about Brooke. Turns out that her ex-husband actually is a black man or a man of color, from what I understand. Well, I've seen, we've seen him. He went as far as making a video statement himself, denouncing her and her actions. So, you know. Now, in the meanwhile, in another part of Trumplandia in Florida, a random ass woman in a golf cart with the esteemed title of field marshal of a park decides that she's going to save the right white Christian world from a black man who's, get this, yelling from the sidelines of a fucking soccer game. And she wants to save the world by calling the pigs. Now, apparently, this field marshal who worked for the Punt Verde Athletic Association felt that the black man in question, a father whose son was in the soccer game, was a threat because the man was yelling instructions, as it turns out, to his son from the sidelines. The woman in the golf cart was convinced that this man was aggressive towards the referee. But really, the dad was telling his kid to listen to the referee. Sorry. Um, Either way, the conflict began between the father and the golf cart woman, overseer, when the father probably felt that he shouldn't have to explain jack shit, which I'm with him on that 100%. See, having to do that alone, I would imagine makes you feel like you are the criminal, and that you are doing something that everyone else had been doing since the dawn of parenting is doing is wrong. I mean, getting excited about your kid on the competitive field, for instance. I should know because my youngest daughter was in the Harlem Little League, and I know how parents can get. I was like, I remember how I was like, right, when my youngest daughter used to play baseball. So I know what the deal is, and yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. So the father, anyway, he was informing the field marshal, that he was only speaking to his son and not the referee. And I guess the rule of the park, as I had, learned a little bit more as digging deeper into the story, was that during the games that this athletic association puts on, the rule is that you can't yell from the bleachers, you can't yell from the sidelines, you most certainly can't yell at the officials of the games, i.e., coaches, referees, that kind of thing. Um, and it turns out that the officials of this association were getting reports all day long that people were breaking those rules all day long at that game. But the golf cart snitch decided to escalate the situation with the dad by calling the police and going back and forth with him. Now, why take such extreme measures? Okay, the rules of this particular park is that there was no yelling or whatever. But rather than seeing or learning the situation, and rather than reading the man's body language throughout the encounter, the golf cart lady relied on the same tried and true mental image often summoned up by cops when encountering black folk. And if the encounter turns deadly, they claim, "Hey, I felt I was in danger. I felt my life was in danger. I feared for my life," as they like to say. And they will murder someone with their service weapon. So some shit like that could have easily have gone down. Do you know how fucked up that would have been if they didn't go peacefully when the cops got there, right? So the way I feel like that the dad was understandably defensive. It is a hell of a thing for you to explain your existence in any place. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Like we got to stop with the cute names. It's not funny. I mean, we know that the situations are funny. Don't get me wrong, but these people, they don't deserve nicknames like that. Now let me look in the chat because I got another point that I want to make in connection to these instances, but it's another note. Ace Atkins. I'm so glad you're here, Ace. Everyone is getting a glimpse of who these people really are, and I'm glad they are getting exposed. They out here on some scorched earth shit because they feel their power is slipping away. Yeah, Ace, I really do feel that. I feel that there's a mix of things going on here that in addition to what you just said, which is 100% on point, I believe also that there's a feeling of feeling emboldened because Trump is in the White House. Now, just last Friday, and this is unrelated, um, if you've never heard of this group, and I want to talk about this, I want to talk about this soon enough about all these organizations. I've talked about these different, alt right and white supremacist organizations that are out here. but I have yet to have talked about this particular group called the Proud Boys. Now, I'm not gonna go there. It is. I have to say, man, it is ironic that people who are so homophobic and anti-gay are indeed. There's this thing about them that makes you wonder about that theory about people who are homophobic if they themselves are gay. Because first of all, let's talk about the fact that the Proud Boys, that name alone, I'm not gonna say that's gay. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna insult gay people by saying that. But that name is so stupid all by itself, right? And Proud Boys, they wear these black golf shirts, or some people like to call them soccer club shirts, but they wear the black golf shirts with gold trim. They're unmistakable. You will see them. They might have, and on top of it all, they might have on some tight black jeans. And these dudes are basically running around trying to fight people all the time. Mainly, oh my God, Jenny and Bewildered Ape are in the house. What's up, y'all? Bewildered said it is gay though. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, these dudes, man, whatever. But my point is, they've been running around like crazy loose now, attacking people who they think might be either Antifa or who they think are just simply just SJWs or just leftist people. Now, Jenny asked, I missed the nickname part. Is it the something boys? Oh, yes, that's the Gavin McInnes. Yeah, Gavin McInnes. This motherfucker. That's again somebody else who deserves a whole separate show. Um, I mean, me talking about him. Gavin McInnes is a Gen X, ex hardcore punk guy. In other words, he's pretty much like the average dude that I may have been in a mosh pit or two with back in the 80s, right? Yes, believe it or not, we were all young once. And Gavin, went through his whatever, and then through his, trying to be left, trying to be hardcore punk guy, and then like a lot of them do, man, they just turned conservative. Like a lot of those dudes did. I think that they felt that the skinheads were cooler. Maybe they had cooler outfits or tattoos. I don't know what the fuck happened. But then he slowly became like that's right. He started Vice, is what he did. He started Vice magazine, and I guess the dudes that were not trying to prove that they were heterosexual, and by having fights in the office, basically bought the magazine from him. They bought him out, and then he decided that he was going to go off and be his own alternative media mogul. Okay, wait, let me just stop here and just read what Ace is saying. Of course, I'll be back to listen to the rest of your commentary. Unfortunately, I have to go, but as usual, my applause and thumbs up to you, and best be blessed. Peace. Thank you, Ace. Thanks a lot. Um Bewildered Ape says, I expect to see him in pink underwear dancing at the parade. Hey, strange, you know what? Shit like that happens, doesn't it, Bewildered Ape? Dudes out there trying to stomp on gay guys, and then 10 years, 15 years later, they're leading the parade. Um, Gavin McInnes was connected to Vice. Wow, yeah, he was the founder of Vice. Bewildered Ape. He founded Vice magazine at the time. It was what it was. It started off really as a zine, and they wanted to kind of get off into this sort of. They wanted to be very gonzo and uh, God, like yeah, I'm in a different headspace right now because I would do a better job at really describing the direction that the magazine went before it went where we see it now, because they were the type of situation where they were definitely on the outskirts of racism and some of the stuff that they used to do in some of their, hey, hooded one, what's up, in some of their stories where they wanted to be like, oh, we're hanging out with Mexican bandits this week, or just bullshit, like saying it's like, but it was always sort of exploitative, especially if we're talking about non-white people that didn't live in the U.S. But it was all supposed to be so cool and edgy. And anyway, so my point here is that the emboldenedness, since Trump got into office, that's where we're seeing with even people like the Proud Boys, because what happened was Gavin McGuy spoke at an event here in New York last Friday, and there were counter protesters out there. I don't believe any of them were Antifa, and to be honest, I'm not trying to say Antifa's the shit, but let's be honest, if they really were out there as an organized force or group, what happened that night, I don't believe would have happened, because the counter protesters, if I'm not mistaken, had broken up, or were breaking up because the event was over with, and the Proud Boys started chasing down innocent people, like just people that were just who they thought was a counter protester or what. They yelled some homophobic slurs at one particular dude, and they proceeded to beat the shit out of the guy. And the cops did absolutely nothing. And what I mean by, if the ones that were there, but I mean they did nothing in terms of no investigation. But good news though, people who are doxers, people who are on the left, and look, pretty much identify these guys just from video and pictures alone. And now a lot of these dudes are fugitives of the law. But my point here is that it's about feeling emboldened now and empowered to do the shit some of these people are doing. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about, that but in connection to these stories that we're seeing of late, is what I don't like is people sort of wanting to attach the Me Too movement to what happened. Like, for instance, okay, um, it there's no first of all, there's no truth to that. You know, if we're just seeing, as it just so happens, these women, these people happen to be women, and they definitely have to happen to be white women, but I don't think Me Too has anything to do with it. First of all, there was definitely an incident here in Brooklyn. Well, not here. I live in Manhattan, but in Brooklyn, but here in New York, fuck it. But in Brooklyn, there was an incident that happened about 2 months ago where it was an African American woman was standing underneath a little awning, right, of a door in Brooklyn because it was raining. She was on her way to a party or something like that to meet with some friends at a restaurant or something. It was a birthday party at a restaurant, and she was waiting for the rain just to die out a little bit. And this woman comes out, and they, again, cute little name. I think they called her Door Stoop Dora or some shit. But this young woman comes out of her door and doesn't tell the lady, hey, I really don't want you standing in front of my door, or just, can you move? Or how about this? Just let the woman stand underneath your door. She's not trying to get into your house. It just, was a sudden cloud burst, and the woman just wanted to not get wet. And she was calling for an Uber. So this woman, it just doesn't get into a whole big thing, doesn't get into she just calls the police. And so, for that, people found out who she was, and all of that. But that was a situation that was between a woman and another woman. So Me Too had nothing to do with that. That has nothing to do with sexual harassment. But what I don't want is people trying to muddy or dirty the Me Too movement by trying to attach this bullshit to it. It's the equivalent of, say, I really hate that I got to bring this up because it's connected to rape, and I'm trying not to constantly be taught. This isn't the rape channel, right? But it's sort of like Eldridge Cleaver, right? Like, you could say, like, people are trying to say that these women feel like they need to do this because of Me Too, because of connection to the men, but that's almost like saying, like, when Eldridge Cleaver claimed that, for him to take part in the revolution, he had to commit the Black Revolution, meaning the Black Liberation Movement, in the 60s, that he was under the practice of sexually assaulting Black women in the Black community as they were target practice for him to then commit rape on white women. Now, that's sick. You don't even have to hear from me how sick that is. And he wrote this himself, of course, in Soul on Ice. Look it up. You can even, if you just type in rape, Eldridge Cleaver, Soul on Ice, the quotes will come up in your search. My point here is this. That would be like him, just because he claims that he did something like that as a political act, which is fucking sick, that doesn't give legitimacy to him being part of that movement. Absolutely not. That's not what the Black Liberation Movement was about. And what I'm saying is, Me Too movement has nothing to do with a bunch of racist loons out there calling the police on black folks, especially if it winds up being a situation where the caller is a woman and the victim or the target is a man. So, but I've seen enough people trying to say this in tweets, and maybe there was like one video. I ain't even naming the video. I just don't want to give them the views, but it's like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So that's the other thing I wanted to get off my chest. Ignore these claims that has no fucking validation whatsoever. Now, let me go back to the fucking chat. Let me see here. Why are my browsers acting sticky today? Let's see. Okay. Sorry, I scrolled up too much. Right. Okay. So Jenny says, you never see that awful Netflix movie he did where he smokes crack? It was awful. Like How to Be a Man. Oh, God. No, I didn't see that shit. I wouldn't be surprised. Gavin McGines is such a piece of shit. Bewildered Ape says Breitbart went in a different direction from its original too, didn't it? I suppose when you find your audience, you have to milk them to make money. Yeah, which is like that was yet another video project that I had in my mind to do, and I never got around to it. And then I started debating on whether or not I should do it because so much time had passed. But I will do it. And of course, that's about the thing that Jenny had done to had has done 2 videos on, and that was about the right wing. Uh, sorry, it was the research paper, but it was a research piece that was done on uncovering the right wing money and organizations that was funding a lot of the social media personalities that we see right now, and people basically doing it because in return they were getting views, they were getting money, they were getting lots of donations and things like this. And so you've got people out there who are doing these things for money. And so when they figure out what their audience is, they're gonna milk it, like bewildered ape just said. Jenny says, when you look at the footage from before the event started, protesters were wearing normal clothes. There were only a couple of people in black, like Antifa. Ah, okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that, Jenny. Thanks for pointing that out. Oh, Jenny says, "Oh, I get it. Like barbecue Becky or corner store Carol. Yeah, exactly. Male wolf love wisdom for classy black men," says Jenny from the block. Okay. Hey, what's up, male wolf? I think I've seen you in other chat rooms before. Welcome. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about, y'all. Like that's what's been on. Like, I just needed to get that bullshit off my chest. Do not equate what the fuck these people are doing out here to sexual harassment or Me Too, because that's not the same thing. You can stop that foolishness, stop that noise, as my younger daughter likes to say, and then on top of it all, uh, we need to stop with the nicknames. All right. Just call a racist and let's be done with it. And I wonder if a lot of this does have to do with a little bit of gender, like us thinking that it's funny or cute, like thinking that women are, that a racist person if you just happens to be a woman, if there's something harmless about this shit. It's not going to be harmless if the wrong, like again, another strung up, high strung Barney Fife motherfucker decides that he's going to blow somebody away. If he will be the wrong one who gets called into this shit, and next thing you know, someone's going to be fucking dead. It ain't going to be cute, man. I'm deadly fucking serious about that. So anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to say tonight. Not gonna stay on here and ramble about some bullshit. Matter of fact, if anything, I like making short hangouts like this where I'm just quick to the point and I can interact with the people in the chat. We can get a little bit of a conversation going, but that's pretty much all I wanted to say about this subject matter. Um, yeah, I know I keep saying it. I've got videos coming up. I really do. I'm working on the part two hangout in terms of us getting our schedule right with me and Afro Syndicalist so we can talk. We're supposed to be hooking up sometime this weekend so we can go live, but we'll see. All right. In the meantime, I want to thank everybody in the chat who came in. Newcomer, Male Wolf, Love Wisdom for Classy Black Men. I want to thank Jenny Kiss. I want to thank Bewildered Abe, who I have not seen in a dog's age around, but we all know what the deal is, y'all. You haven't made any announcements on your channel yet, Jenny, so I'm not going to say anything. Want to give a huge shout out to Ace Atkins, who was the first to show up and the first to post. And thank you all for listening. So, peace. And this is the Garage Autonomous.